Here are 9 lessons I've learned in the last 9 years of not drinking alcohol. So, about 9 years ago, I made the choice to quit drinking. Um, I would say that I was somebody who struggled with alcohol. Um, I wasn't an everyday drinker. However, when I did drink, it wasn't because I wanted to relax or enjoy myself. No, I was doing it with an intention to get as drunk as I possibly could. And it was anytime I drank. And so a friend of mine referred to it as sprinting downhill when it came to drinking. And so for myself, I got to a point where I was reckless. I wasn't always at my best personally, professionally, and many other ways, honestly. And so it was one night where I just had too much to drink and made a not so great choice and drove home and ended up getting a DUI. And it was then when I realized that uh, I wanted to quit drinking because it was something that was making my life more difficult than it already was. And it wasn't something that was serving me anymore. But, having been arrested with a DUI from drinking, I felt that that was enough of a wake-up call to disturb me enough to realize what I was doing was harming myself, the people I loved, and initially impacting the future I could have. And so 9 years ago, I made the decision to quit drinking, and I've continued on since then, and I got some things I've learned along the way that I'd like to share with you guys. I made a list of 9 things. They're not directly in specific orders of certain things. They're just things I wrote down that I felt were important to have and am able to experience now that I'm not somebody who drinks anymore. And the first thing that came to mind was I stopped feeling shitty about myself. After I quit drinking, I realized that I stopped feeling shitty about myself as a person, as well as physically, mentally, and in many other ways. But this overall dread feeling of feeling like shit about myself as a person because I was struggling with my behavior or with my relationship with alcohol and how I behaved because of it. And so once I quit drinking, I started feeling better about myself and stopped feeling like so much shit that I was a garbage person or I was somebody who was bad per se, and just realized that I was human. Second thing is I got healthier. I got way healthier after I quit drinking. And what that means is I am now more consistent than I've ever been with my fitness routine. I average anywhere from 3 to 5 days a week of training, and that's been pretty continuous for the last 4 or 5 years. Outside of that, I'm making healthier choices with the food I'm eating. I've actually really widened out my palate. I think that when I was drinking, I was somebody who was a really picky eater, and that's something I always grew up with. And since I quit drinking, I've been able to really widen my scope of flavor and try new things, which has been extremely helpful with just nutrition and itself and my relationship with food. I mean, I'm still working on things, but it's definitely a lot better than it was. I would also say that mentally and emotionally, I got healthier, and that means that I am in a better state of mental health, and that's due to not drinking, but also therapy. Uh, skills work, deep reflection, and so on and so forth. But overall, I'm definitely a healthier human being, financially, physically, emotionally, mentally, and in so many other ways. Number three, I'm less anxious. And so I'm somebody who used to be stuck in an anxiety loop. I used to be a very anxious person. Anxiety was something that I struggled with severely, but I'd mask it with a lot of different behaviors or with drinking or substances or whatever I could get in my hands that would help me not feel so anxious. And that made life very, very, very stressful, is to always be in a constant state of worry or anxiety. And a lot of my worries and anxieties slowly started going away after I quit drinking, and especially like the day after drinking. Like if you've ever woken up and you're like, this overwhelming sensation of like anxiety or depression would hit. Oh man, it's not even like a hangover. Well, I mean, it could be. It's like a mental or physical one, but it would just be of anxiety. And so when I quit drinking, I became less anxious, and life got easier in the sense that not everything was urgent and not everything felt like it was going to be the death of me or someone I loved because of what was happening in my life at the time. And so my anxiety got much, much, much better. And it's still here and there that I'll feel anxious because we're human. However, that one in itself has very much dissolved in the way that uh, I hardly feel anxious in the way I used to. Number four, I feel more confident in myself, and that's a really big one, but that took a lot of work in itself, of like self-affirmations and like trusting myself and seeing myself learn new skills and apply them and seeing them work, even if they didn't work the first time. So my confidence as a person, as a partner, um, as a brother, as like all the hats I wear, professional. It's just overall my confidence is so much better, and mainly within myself because I have higher self-esteem and I can view myself in a way that's more humane and understanding and compassionate to myself as a person versus how I was seeing myself when I was drinking. Number five is I feel less depressed and less worried or gloom and doom about life. You wouldn't know it, but as somebody who's as optimistic and as joyful as I obviously am human and have my own stints of depression. And so uh, when I quit drinking, it helped me with really taking better care of my mental health. And I did that through, like I've said before, uh, therapy, medication, skills work, self reflection. But overall, that depression state, how I would feel after drinking, it went away. I don't feel depressed as much anymore. And again, I'm human, so I'll deal with it from time to time when it does show up because it's just a part of human nature. But I have the skills and the ability to better cope with it now than I would have when I was drinking, which would lead for me to end up spiraling in a binge of drinking. And now I don't necessarily have that vice where I depend on it, and uh, it just doesn't cripple me as much as it used to, which is a great feeling to have. You would think somebody who drinks a lot wouldn't come with a stint full of depression, but honestly, that's really what it is a heavy, dreading feeling of depression that I no longer feel as much because I don't drink anymore. Number six is increased cognitive function. So after I quit drinking, I definitely started seeing how much I could learn and how much I was able to use more critical thinking skills and my cognitive ability to understand things in a way more complex way, but being able to decipher that into something that's simple and able to be understood by a third grader. And what all that means is fancy words for I feel like I've gotten smarter since I quit drinking. Drinking would always lead to me having impulsive behavior and reckless behavior. And I felt that once I quit drinking, I was able to stop making such terrible decisions and learn critical thinking and learn how to use logic and really use my words more than anything. And so I really appreciate that when I quit drinking, I feel and I believe that I've gone smarter. Number 7, peace and patience. This one is probably my favorite one, is that out of everything, once I quit drinking, I became way more patient. I am more peaceful within myself and within others. Same with my patience. And I feel like I've gotten that because I quit drinking. And that was something that was liberating. It was having peace and having the ability to feel more patient and to practice patience. But it wasn't just a overnight thing that was given. It was a lot of practice going into it. If you want to learn how to be a more patient person, it comes with practice. And practice isn't the application waiting. No, practice is the act of doing religiously, in my opinion. And so with patience, it was a practice that I would do every day. The thing that helped me was I would say to myself when I was feeling impatient, I would say, patience. And it's ridiculous, right? It's like the one thing you're not wanting to feel because of how you're feeling is going to stop me. And it's gotten me this far, 9 years. So that was a really big one that I loved, was practicing the word patience when I felt impatient, because I would feel like a knife cutting through butter and just stop me. And so the part about being peaceful means that I am no longer at war within myself with who I am. I've learned that I can create a new identity for myself whenever, however, through changes of my actions and my beliefs. And I learned that because I was able to quit drinking. And if I was able to quit that, then that meant to me that I could do a lot of other more things. And I'm here 9 years later saying that it works. It's just consistency and frequency and sustainability and just being able to practice is the big thing there. Number 8, this is another one that follows. I guess the last 3 here are going to be my favorite ones, but number 8 would be my mental health got way better and it improved. And so when I quit drinking, I could see that my mental health was not good. And I took a lot of work into making it healthier, just like you would with any other muscle. It's something that you practice, it's something that you build upon. And if you don't know how to take care of your mental health, it's that it's like a skill with weightlifting. I didn't know half of the things I knew. I just did my best with what I thought I knew and what I read in magazines or on the internet or what my friends were doing until, I got trained and I learned how to become an expert in this. And I mean, you don't have to go to that level. However, you can learn from somebody who has the skill set through experience, through education, and continuous education. And so, for me, my mental health improved because I quit drinking. I was able to cope with the things that were hidden and were traumatic to me in my past and remain hidden in a basement in my head. And I went down there and I turned on the lights and I took a look at everything and I boxed it up and I looked at what was memories that no longer served me, and I did with them with what I thought was best and put them to rest, put them away, burnt them, whatever. And my mental health has gotten better, and it wouldn't have gone better if I hadn't made the choice of quitting drinking. And so when I was able to take care of my mental health, my life changed, and it really did. And a lot of that's due because of therapy and the work I did within myself. And it was a huge thing. The last one is probably a really good one. And it's a good one because I feel less angry because I quit drinking. So I feel less angry, and I don't know, I just feel better, I guess, is another way of phrasing it. And so I used to be a very angry person all the time, and I felt angry all the time because of not having the bandwidth to deal with stress, not having the skill sets to manage my emotions, uh, not having the ability to verbally express myself because I didn't have the vocabulary for it. Uh, I didn't have patience. I was cruel. You know, the list goes on. You know what angry people do. You know, the phrase goes, hurt people. And that's the most truest shit ever because I was hurt and I was hurting other people. But when I quit drinking, it allowed for me to really learn how to control my anger and manage it. And it's very rare that I feel angry. I mean, I'll get upset. I'll feel bothered. I'll feel frustrated, annoyed, and what else, you know, but at the deep meaning of it, it's hurt, you know, hurt feelings, hurt emotions, whatever it is, physical pain, mental pain. Either way, the anger is a top layer emotion for what's hiding underneath it, and that's what was there. And so I feel a lot less angry because I feel a lot less hurt about the things that have happened or the things that have experienced or gone through in life because I took the time to heal, and now that those wounds are healed, they're just scars that are there, and I'm at times reminded of them, but it doesn't hurt as much as it used to. And you know, it feels good to not feel angry. You don't feel mad at the world. You don't feel so, you know, skeptical of people, and you're not as scorned. You're just a little bit more at peace. You get to enjoy being alive and enjoy joy more, which is a funny thing to say, but it's nice. It's things that I wouldn't sacrifice or give up ever again for something that made me believe that that's what I was experiencing, but in reality, it was a lie. Um, and so I'm grateful that I feel less angry because I don't drink. Um, Now, all this is said and done to be clear that uh, not everybody who drinks deals with these things. I mean, I know a lot of people who can drink and they're not impacted by alcohol the way that it impacted me. And great, I think it's fine. You know, do whatever you want. I don't give a shit. It's a matter of like what you're doing, and if it's working for you, if it's not. For me, it wasn't. Uh, and I know for a lot of other people, it doesn't either. And they're just at a point where they're in limbo with whether or not this is something that they can do in a manageable way or not. For me, it wasn't manageable, so I couldn't do it. For other people, it is. And it's all just dependent on you and how it works for you. I have nothing against alcohol. I think it's fine as long as you can handle it and you're not, you know, fucking your life up or somebody else's. But if you're somebody who's doing that to yourself or someone else, then maybe it's time to revisit what you think a priority is. And for me, my priority was myself, to have a future because of all the work I've been doing and am continuously doing. And so I thought about my future self. And I knew that if I did that, if I made the sacrifice of doing something hard and I did something really big, I would get something back in return. And this is what it was. And for me, it wasn't about being selfish with that goal. It was about giving back to those who needed it too. And that's why I'm making this video. So if this is something that you found helpful or enjoyed, feel free to like, subscribe, and all that other jazz. And I'll see you in the next one.